Good afternoon, St. Louis, and welcome in to Cards Hub Postgame on Sports Hub STL, presented by Hot Shots, home of STL sports fans since 1990. All the games, all the time. Check out your closest location at hotshotsnet.com. And, of course, our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. I'm Matthew Rocchio, joined today for our postgame by Grant Salsman. And what a postgame we have. What a game that was. We all just got to watch their Cardinals walk off Game 1 with a 6-5 victory in the 10th. How about that one, Grant?
I think it's embodied the whole Cardinals season so far. You know, when they're down, they found a way to chip away and get back into games. And right there, they chipped away. Then they went down again, came back, took the lead, won the game. Obviously, what an impressive victory.
Yeah, and really, I think that game was a perfect crystallization of a lot of things we've talked about on the show. And in the post games, in the Cards Up 365s, Bernie shows, and Randy Carricker shows over the last couple of weeks, when talking about the resilience of this Cardinals team, obviously to see them fight back multiple times, that was pretty incredible. But specifically, right there at the end, a boof by Mason Wynn.
Mm-hmm.
And they let up a run, but then they get back to it. For me, it stands out one of Bernie's biggest points, which is they have depth. They might not be elite in any category, but they're so solid and they're above average in every single category across the board that even when one thing fails, Mason Wynn's incredible defense, something is still there to pick them up. This team does not stop fighting.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Wynn play is, like, if the Cardinals lose that game, let's say they lose in the 10th, I don't think I'm as mad at Wynn because, you know, even if he gets the out at first, runner gets a third.
Yeah.
If things would happen the way they do. But shout out Jojo Romero. You know,
yeah,
you could have been a little frustrated there after the errors made, or at least
some people might have been really cynical about him after he finally got out of that inning after the rough time he had.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was really. You were cynical? No, I don't think it was a rough time. I don't think it was a finally got out of the inning, he battened down the hatches and got out with a, you know, you're down a run with a runner in scoring position automatically in the bottom of the 10th. You know, he kept his team in it. I was impressed with his outing. You know, he only gave up one hit. It's always hard with the extra inning rule to give up no runs, which the only hit was the mistake by Mason Wynn. So no, shout out Jojo Romero. That was a good outing there.
And shout out, of course, to Wilson Contreras. Obviously, he gets the final big hit for the Cardinals. I think I heard on the broadcast from Chip his third walk-off hit of his career. That seems super low, but I feel like that's what I heard. BB3 Light says Wilson, obviously just an absolutely huge hit there. Dubes Val, W's and extras are important, and W's coming back has been extremely important as well. Actually, in fact, it's such a big game. We're gonna bring in a guest today because joining us from the illustrious Illside is the executive producer of this beautiful digital station we got going here, Mr. Joe Roderick. Joe, that was an insane one.
Yeah, that was needed. After yesterday, I know it was Stefan and Brendan were calling it the worst loss of the season on Tuesday's game. This is the best win of the season. By far, this was the best win of the season with Ivan Herrera, who is the best designated hitter in the National League. Give me a name of a better DH in the NL, I dare you. He comes through in the clutch in the 8th, and man, there are some worries with that bullpen and Helsley again in that one, but just the overall resilience of this team coming back the way they did in this game and fighting the way they did. That the defense up the middle struggled a little bit today, but this was one that they fought through. And again, best win of the season for the Cardinals.
And speaking of that fight, one hit in their first 17 at-bats of the game, 7 hits in the last 18 at-bats. So that's the offense locking in. And for the first time in a long time, the middle of the order was the one providing the RBIs. Obviously, Ivan Herrera with 2, Contreras and Arenado each with 1, thanks to Arenado in that very lengthy play that what we thought might have been a double play. So really the middle of the order came to play, and really late was key for this entire offense.
Yeah, I think this is something that we've talked about, what good teams do, and the Cardinals are a good team whenever one piece of the puzzle doesn't maybe play up to par. Today it was the defense and the bullpen blowing it. The offense stepped up, and for a while it looked like the offense wasn't going to step up. It was the pitching that kept you in it. So all facets helped each other out in this game at some point, and the Cardinals were able to pick up their guy, Ryan Helsley. They were able to pick up Mason Wynn and find a way to win this game. And I agree with Joe. I mean, you lose this one, even if you win tonight in the second game of the doubleheader, it feels pretty low a loss in this game one. So that was a big one. I'll say tonight's a really big one as well to win this series going into LA.
Yeah, in most other situations, I'd say that everyone else is being kind of alarmist. But hey, no. Biggest win of the season after the biggest loss of the season. None of us are being hyperbolic at all. Just a fantastic game here from the Cardinals.
Okay, could you name? I mean, I'm sure we can.
Getting shellacked in Boston that early in the season was I mean, the depression of the fan base.
Yes, yeah.
After
that
the Boston
was that's what I say. I mean, that's what I kept coming back to and saying was the worst loss of the season. I'm asking the other way though. What would you consider the best win of the season?
Maybe the Diamondbacks win where they came back.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of similar fashion.
The fact that we have like 5 or 6 comeback victories now that are pretty fascinating so far this year. That gives you a lot of room to pick very dynamic. But here's my thing. It's kind of like momentum where, it's you can't really grasp it, but when it happens, it happens. And that's how a season up and down is always going to go. You're always going to feel like the newest low is the lowest and the newest high is the highest. And that's kind of the beauty and one of the only reasons why 162 in baseball works.
Yeah. There's a few people in the comments also throwing out some games. I don't remember the Phillies game that they're saying was when they were down 6-1. I don't remember that game specifically for that. I'll have to go back and look at the box scores and try to remember that one.
Something I just wanted to say about this game, and I have no stat to back this up, but it always feels like every time the Cardinals are in extra inning, the designated runner or the ghost runner, the Manfred runner, whatever you want to call it, always feels like it's one of the slowest people on the team. Pozo gets on second base. They get a line drive single that would score. I think every other member of the team, even the bullpen.
So I mean that happens. I could see it. I mean, that happens when you have 4 catchers on your roster plus Nolan Arenado. So when you look at the overall construction of the 13 position players on the Cardinals, they have a lot of slow guys on the team. Yeah. So
I thought for a second that he didn't score on the Mason Wynn ground ball because they didn't pan to home plate. I actually thought that he didn't run, and I almost lost my mind. I was like, how did he not score on a slowly hit ground ball to first?
I didn't see. Yeah, they didn't show a replay of that either. I was waiting to see a replay because you could see on Lars Nootbaar's hit, they panned out enough to where you could see the mistake that Pozo made, where he stood there, he turned around and looked at it, doesn't pick up, Pop Warner at third and gets a terrible jump on it. And you could see that. I wish they would have shown on the Mason Wynn hit, if it was, straight contact as soon as that bat hits the ball, he's booking it home and going there. But I was the same way. I was sitting there again. I'm hands in the air yelling at my TV here at home when he doesn't score from second on the Lars Nootbaar hit. And I had the exact same reaction too, because Salvador Perez makes that play and just stands there. And I was like, oh my God, there's no play at home because he didn't go. But no, there was no play at home because he got such a good jump that Sal Perez couldn't do anything with it. So I was really mad until I heard Chip go, no play at home and I was like, okay, he kind of made up for it there. I do wonder, and I with the doubleheader and the break between games, I don't know how much time the media will get with Ollie afterwards, or even in a win, if they'll talk to him about the thought process behind not putting Barrero out there to run for Pozo, because that was something they had brought up on the broadcast. Brendan Schaefer and I were texting about it as well, that ideally there, Pages is already burned. Yeah. You go with Barrero to run there, and if you tie it and you go into the 11th, you burn the DH. You lose the DH, and you have Herrera come in and catch, and then your pitcher's spot is just batting there as the rest of the game goes on. I think, but again, it worked. It worked for them. But in that moment, it was talked about in the top of the 10th inning. They discussed that move in the top of the 10th inning, and you knew it was Pozo coming out there. And it immediately bit you in the ass when Pozo makes that mistake out there at second base.
Yeah, and I really wonder when you get these decisions, I wonder how much it comes to a literal not saying this is how it how it manifests for them, but almost like a win probability chart thing, where kind of like with basketball and football we talk about now, where it's like, okay, the chances, with us taking the chances that we have to go into the 13th or the 12th inning and that our pitcher then has to bat versus the chances we just get out of this game, either win or lose in the 11th before it even happens. I really would love to see like the actual numbers, because I bet you again, I think it's more complicated, but I bet you there's something along a conversation somebody in the room is having about just the hard numbers of those two things, because that's really what you're doing, is how much are we rolling the dice that we're going to go more than an inning into this on either side of it, and how much are we lessening our chance to score by having X player on second base versus X player?
Well, I think it's interesting too in that situation. Let's say maybe there's Pozo's not on the roster. Are you comfortable at some point through the Cardinals if it's a must-need situation to throw Contreras back there? Like, let's say you do pinch run and you say, all right, Wilson, we need you to get back there for an inning or two. Do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't even think.
My understanding of that is, I mean, he is truly the emergency catcher. I mean, he is what Brendan Donovan was last year. They do not go into games with any kind of game plan of him being the catcher. He still has the catching equipment. He hasn't burned it. He hasn't donated it to play it again or somewhere. But from my understanding is that they will look to avoid having him catch at all costs. He is 100% a first baseman on this team. I did, by the way, I found, this is from last year. I found last year's total weight of each and every major league team, because we had somebody in the comments who threw it out there asking if the Cardinals are number one in the league in total team pounds. Last year, Cincinnati was the heaviest team in all of baseball at 5,434 pounds.
Whew.
The Cardinals were third last year at 5,415 pounds. So that was last year's the number for that. I have not been able to find any numbers on this year's total weight.
I think they're first.
They got to be thicker this year.
I think 4 catchers on the roster gets you up there at first. I don't see a world.
Walker's a big boy.
Jordan Walker's a big. He's tall and he's big.
Yeah.
Alec Burleson on the right. I mean, there's some big guys. Like Nolan Arenado's a big guy too. You know,
I'm with you on this one. I think you know what, and unfortunately we can't put anything down on the size of these players, but you can always put a little something down on the success or lack thereof in the game with our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Promo code STL Sports. Try that out right now with their DraftKings Pick 6 game. You need to check that out right now. It's always so much fun to play. In fact, we're going to open up the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now, and we're going to build ourselves a DraftKings Pick 6 choice right now. Joe, I'm going to look at, I know we like doing the baseball, but I can't help myself. I'm a basketball fiend, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what starts tonight is the NBA Finals.
Can you bet on SGA's free throws tonight? Can you bet on attempted free throws tonight for SGA? If you can bet on that, if you can bet on that, I am going to say go bet the over.
Okay, so let's looking at. I'm going to, and this is the best part about DraftKings Pick 6, because if you're feeling a certain player, you can actually just search them in the app, and it's going to bring up every single Pick 6 wager that you can add with them right now. So I mean, we got points more or less, 3-pointers made. You can probably go lower on that one. Rebounds. I don't think I'm seeing any free throws. Joe, double fantasy points. That might be where you get some free. Oh wait, here we go, Joe. All righty. This is where we buy houses. This is where we make moves. Yeah. More or less 8.5 free throws made.
Take the over. He's going to make like 20 tonight.
It's okay. So that's how we're going to start building our DraftKings Pick 6 again. Usually you can do baseball, but we're going to do a little NBA. So we're going to start building our DraftKings Pick 6 with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right out of the bat. And then let's look at a Thunder. Let's look at a Pacer. What Pacer do we want to combine with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? I'm going to go with Miles Turner. I'm a big Miles Turner fan. 13.5 points. I like that. For the big man, not a lot of size on the Thunder, and so I think he can take advantage of that. And St. Louis sports fans, we're deep into both basketball and baseball season. If you're like me, you're locked into every pitch, pass and play, and that's why we've teamed up with DraftKings to bring you Pick 6, the all-new way to play daily fantasy sports. Right now, all customers who play just $5 will get $50 in bonus picks. That's 10 extra picks to keep the action going all week long. It's easy to start, fun to follow, and gives you a whole new way to stay connected to the game. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app today. Do just like me or Joe and do it right now. Pick at least 2 players from opposing teams. Make sure you lock in those picks today on the app. Use code STL Sports when you sign up. That's only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Joe. Grant Salsman had to jump over to the station for some KLIS duties, so we're going to wrap up the show here in just a little bit. We're getting some more comments here, and I think we do have to touch on the conversation that you patted around a little bit, which is, of course, the high-value closer Ryan Helsley has a tough game. Gives it up there. Obviously, Cardinals are able to close out a win. That's why we're all happy-go-lucky. But nonetheless, we get chats like this from Mike Oberhaus. Do you trade Helsley and NATO in a starting pitcher at the deadline? Things like that are coming through the chat. Your thoughts after a rough outing for Ryan Helsley?
Absolutely not. No chance in hell. And I will tell you this. So you have a situation where this is a team that back in spring training, we looked at this team as, they were going to have another bad season, or a 90 loss year. And they came into it hearing all of that noise, and they bonded together and they said, we're going to show the world. We're going to show everybody how good of a team we are and what talent we have here. And they made a point to go out there and prove themselves to everybody. Why on earth would you want to mess with any of that chemistry? I mean, you have a guy who last year was the closer of the year, the relief pitcher of the year in Ryan Helsley. You have a leader in Nolan Arenado who turned down a trade to the Astros in the offseason to stay here. And by all accounts, looks like he's having a whole lot of fun playing for the Cardinals this year, especially with them winning. I would just not change that. There was nothing there that I would change as far as the chemistry goes. Just you can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Just while people are focusing on things, the third blown save of the season for Ryan Helsley. That number is going to jump out, obviously, considering the season that he had last year. We were talking earlier today on the Randy Carricker show about whether or not they're going to give him a qualifying offer, whether or not they should trade him. I'm not going either way right now. I promise to lay off the trade everyone talk with the Cardinals as they're winning, but it's just you can't walk away from the how volatile the position is in the fact that every game things might change, and by a month from now, this entire situation, both the Card situation and the situation of Ryan Helsley, could be completely different than what it is today, and that's just how it is with this position.
Yeah, and by the way, and Mike throws up another question too, along with this one, asking if you're going to sign him in the offseason. No, you're going to put a qualifying offer on him.
Yes,
that's what you're doing with Ryan Helsley. He's getting that qualifying offer. Some team out there probably will spend $100,000 on him. They probably will, and go for it. Have at it. I'm fine with getting that compensation pick out of the deal. That's okay with me. That win, and yeah, I do think you have a chance at winning. We've seen them play well this whole season. We'll see them match up against one of the best teams in baseball this weekend. We'll have a real good idea of who this team is after that, I think, and just let it roll. Let it roll. They're healthy right now for the most part. I would say the Cardinals injury list. A lot of teams would love to have the issues that they've had right now as far as injuries go, as far as health goes. Look at the Dodgers and look how many guys before the Dodgers come into town tomorrow. Look at their roster and look at just how many guys are on the injured list for them. It's rough for them. The Cardinals overall have been fairly healthy, and if that continues, they'll be in a good spot in the postseason. And
For
then you get to a 3-game series and go for it. What are you looking
Joe,
for?
I am absolutely struggling right now to find how many times he blew. Okay, I thought so. In my head, I was like, I'm 90% confident he blew 4 saves last year. Off the top of my head. And I could not for the life of me find the stat on Baseball Reference. I've been looking at behind the scenes for the last 5 minutes. It's been really making me mad. So he blew 4 saves last year while notching 49. He just blew save number 3 this year, and he's on save number 13. Again, he could save 30 in a row here and completely flip the stat on his head. But it's just, you can't play this game with the relief position, and I'm annoyed that they did. And if it comes back to bite him in the ass, it'll be funny if that's like the one bad thing about this season, with all the good things that have been happening and all the credit we've been giving to the front office turning things around, because it would just be so easy to see and so obvious that it was going to happen. And I hope it doesn't. I hope he locks in and we don't see these. But the numbers overall, we have a chat here earlier from Nick Jensen, not just with Helsley, but it just, things are starting to feel a little bit different than they did when they were winning the games in May. Things seem a little bit thinner in some of these games, and I'm starting to feel that overall about this team. And I can't help shake the conversations we've been having over the last week when Bernie's talking about, can this team be sustainable?
Yeah, and it's a long season. You have the ups and downs, and if you continue to keep piling on wins here and there when you're in a downswing, which maybe they are right now, and they're still playing about 500 ball. Like Bernie said, they're not going to play 800 ball all season. They're not. They're going to have tough stretches. And okay, if this is another tough stretch, it's going to happen, and it probably will happen one more time after this. So it's again, you take the season as it goes. You ride the highs. You fight out the lows, and by the end of it, hopefully you're around 90 something wins and in the playoffs with that. So I don't know. Maybe another. Maybe another switch flips this weekend when there's 40,000 in the stadium against the Dodgers.
You confident in that?
You know what? I'd be really upset with St. Louis fans if that wasn't the case.
I mean, it seems like, I was wrong about them getting a boost after that run in May, and it still didn't materialize. And every time they lose a game now, the negativity immediately starts kind of seeping out of the pores. And so it doesn't, it's not going to shock me too much. It's going to bum me out. There's no doubt about that. But it won't shock me too much in that one, Joe. I mean, listen, I think in the moment when you have games like this that are so much fun, we obviously are getting big reaction, loving everybody coming in here to chat with us right now in the Cards Hub postgame. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button so you're always knowing when we're going live here on Sports Hub STL. But it's a little disappointing that, and for whatever reasons you have, I'm not going to criticize those, that the numbers haven't seen an uptick with how strong they've played over the last 3 weeks, month, 5 weeks.
Yeah, I know weather is going to be bad this weekend, so that's a built-in excuse. But Sunday, 1 o'clock on Sunday, it's supposed to be sunny and 82 degrees. That's a Sunday afternoon game with Shohei in town, Michael McGreevy on the mound. So you get the best player in baseball in that game, and he's going to be pitching to Shohei on Sunday. So it's must-see TV, must-see baseball. Get out to Busch on Sunday for that game for sure.
Cardinals, of course, coming up with game 2 of the doubleheader, 6:45 first pitch. Matthew Liberatore facing off against Cole Reagans, a lefty battle. In fact, a young lefty battle, having some good seasons so far this year. No lineup yet for the Royals, but we do have a Cardinals lineup, it appears. Already? Yes, in fact, they do have one out right now. And Lars Nootbaar leading off, playing left field. Mason Wynn playing second at shortstop. Brendan Donovan batting third at second base. Wilson Contreras, same spot, batting fourth and first base. Ivan Herrera, no changes here in the DH spot, batting fifth. Nolan Arenado, again, still no changes through the 6 spots in the order at third base. Here's where we get some changes. Yoel Pozo is going to start game 2 behind the plate, batting seventh. Vilade is starting again in right field, batting 8th, and Victor Scott II batting 9th in center field.
It's the lefties. You're
It's just-
trying
yeah,
to
it's just-
You're trying not to put 4 lefties in the lineup against the 2 left-handed starters, the 2 good left-handed starters today. And not having this is where not having Jordan Walker right now is killing you.
This is going to sound weird, but just like literally anybody else could have gotten hurt and it would have been better for Nolan Gorman. Literally anybody else almost.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think so. I think it's still I think everything still gets moved around. Nolan Gorman just gets screwed today because it's 2 lefties starting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team gets hurt. Yeah,
that's 100% what it is for that. And I haven't looked ahead to the weekend to see who the Dodgers are throwing. I think it's TBD every day this weekend right now. Yamamoto on Saturday. Gorman will be in the lineup then against Yamamoto on Saturday, and on Sunday again TBD on Sunday. So
also didn't help Nolan Gorman that. He got the sacrifice fly, but not what you want to see coming off the bench with the bases loaded in that situation. Just damn.
Yeah.
It's just in those moments you're just hoping things break his way, and then obviously he doesn't get a chance because it's again another lefty in the night game. Just it kind of feels a little bit like Dylan Carlson at times when it was just the window just doesn't feel like it's ever going to open up for him again.
Yeah.
And that's a huge bummer.
Though again, he'll get his opportunities this weekend. He will. They'll continue to throw him out there and see what he can do. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's just circumstances against facing the lefties is the only reason we're not seeing him.
Weather might not be great this weekend, but that means it's a perfect time to head over to your local Hot Shots. And trust me right now, Hot Shots is the perfect St. Louis restaurant because just like St. Louis, everything's 15 minutes away. Go to hotshotsnet.com right now. Search their locations. I guarantee you where you're sitting right now, you're within 15 to 20 minutes of a Hot Shots location. And if it's pouring down rain today, you got to get some shelter and you want something warm, there's no place better than Hot Shots too. They got beer, they got food, they got just the best wait staff in the world. I love that entire menu. Check them out, of course. All the games, all the time. It's Hot Shots, home of STL sports fans since 1990, and a proud sponsor of these post-game shows, which we're wrapping up right now. The Cardinals got another game coming up in a couple hours, which means we will be back here on Cards Hub post-game just after that game again, just like we are after every Cardinals game right here on Sports Hub STL. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you're always with us whenever we go live. That's Joe Roderick. I'm Matthew Rocchio, and this has been Cards Hub Postgame on Sports Hub STL.